Good morning, everybody. I would like to convene the May Bridge and Tunnel Committee meeting. Do we have any speakers today?
Good morning. We have 6 members of the public registered to speak today. As a reminder, we ask that all public speakers adhere to the MTA's rules of conduct and decorum. I would also like to remind our public speakers that in the interest of time and fairness to all speakers, we limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware of the clock in the front of the room and the warning light you will see reminding you that you have 30 seconds left to conclude your remarks. The first speaker will be Murray Bowden. Following will be Yuki Endo, followed by Jason Anthony.
Good morning, everyone. I'm motivated to speak today because I am aware of the changes that are being instituted at the entire MTA. An hour from now, it will be historic. You'll have 4 committee meetings at the same time, indicative of the change. Picking up those cars at the various bridges and tunnels were the same. I'd like to be able to see Kathy. Can you guys move back a little bit? Thanks. Kathy, when you were when you were chief engineer in New York Thruway, you taught me a lesson I'll never forget. Consistency is safety. Unfortunately, you're part of a system where you can't speak out because of your job. I've had the experience where somebody did something and helped me, and then it was a problem. You taught me that consistently at every line has to be for safety reasons. And yet, the markings that I've been talking about for years and years and years never got fixed because the people who were in charge of them, manual uniform traffic control devices, they couldn't change. Today's a historic day, and I recognize it. I won't be here much longer. I'm finding dementia, and so it's getting harder and harder for me to do what I want to do. But I also learned, talking about it, I got notes here. You stop the toll evaders, that's a change. You got those people to pay up. Now it's time to make consistent lines on a road, which we've discussed forever. I can't do it. It's your people. You watch the way you drive. And whenever a traffic light turns green, nobody moves. Think about what they see, the lines. They have to be consistent. Yellow on the left, white on the right.
Thank you. Please conclude your remarks.
I'll be glad to. I may never be here again, so I don't feel bad about taking an extra couple of seconds.
Don't say that.
Dementia catch up as you really fast.
Thank you. The next speaker is Yuki Endo, followed by Jason Anthony.
Nandini is a Uganda or Kobe Japan representing Passenger United for congressional pricing, Baalbek City, Shuttle, New York City Ferry, New York Waterway, University Shuttle Bus, Hutton Genie, Clearhan, Nigabus, Bus Jet, New York City Sightseeing Tour Buses, New York City On Location Tour, Express Ride Buses, any commuter buses, interstate or the longer commuter buses, including New Jersey Genie buses or out-of-state school buses, should be exempt from congressional pricing. Also, please get discounts to unlicensed personal, museum, library, school, university workers, including hostel, group homes, daycare, a senior center, hotels, including toilet workers, New York City tour workers. I also like to say a turn signal priority at the Queens Boulevard, Crescent Street entry at Manhattan with 39C. Best for both MTA and the sightseeing buses. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Jason Anthony, followed by Maddie Bucky's Highland.
Good morning, Kathy. Good morning, Jamie, and good morning to the rest of the Bridges and Tunnels Committee. As you guys know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. As everybody knows, I suffer from mental illness. And we have seen throughout the years people utilizing our bridges to commit acts, to jump off our bridges. I was walking, let's say, this past week through the 59th Street Bridge. And it was curious to me that I saw a signage, two signage, by the way. And one of them was that it was illegal to jump off. And next to that sign, it said that you're not alone. And it had a phone number. I wish that in our bridges, it had a similar signage. But at the same time, it caught my attention that a video become viral that someone was atop of a Q44 select bus service along the Whitestone Bridge. Kathy, we need to investigate these incidents because these incidents, although they're not common, but we need to investigate these incidents like this. So we'll speak later.
you.
Have a wonderful summer.
Thank you. The next speaker is Maddie Bucky's Highland, followed by Cameron Best.
Good morning. I'm Matty W. Bucky's Highland. For today, I'm going to speak about congested pricing and its stuff. With the upcoming Atlantic hurricane season coming up, and with Colorado State University saying above average activity, the MTA should consider exempting congested pricing for mandatory evacuation in the event, if God forbid, we had a major disaster, a terrorist attack, or blizzard, for example. But the news could have come at a better news couldn't be worse for New Jersey commuters, as on May 14th at the Senate Budget Appropriations Committee down in Trenton, its chairman in the Senate, Senator Paulie Sarlo, suggested raising New Jersey's sales tax from 6.625% up to 7% to pay for Governor Phil Murphy's $56 billion budget. That couldn't be at a worse time for those who live in New Jersey who commute. Anyway, I hope everyone has a great Memorial Day weekend, and God bless each and one of you. Ms. Pascone?
Thank you. The next speaker is Cameron Best, followed by Charlton D'Souza.
As we move forward with congestion pricing, I just want to reiterate the need for clear data with congestion pricing, both good and bad. It's very useful for the MTA to also begin posting that data before the tolling goes into effect, so it's clear if there is a large drop in traffic or if it takes time for that to go into place. The success of the program relies on people knowing that it works, and the only way people will know that it works is if there's clear data. Thank you.
Thank you. The next and final speaker is Charlton D'Souza.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charlton D'Souza. I'm the president of Passengers United. And in a few weeks, congestion pricing, let's hope the courts do its thing and block congestion pricing. But if congestion pricing, happens, it's going to be devastating to New York City, to the communities. And the MTA keeps saying we're adding service. Adding 4 additional buses on routes is not going to help the problem. You really need to have discounts for the Long Island Railroad, and you need to have HOV lanes on the LIE. And you need more express bus routes, in the Bronx, in Staten Island, in Queens. I really think Staten Island, Brooklyn, and the Bronx is going to have a lot of people, as well as Queens, using express buses. So the express bus fare needs to be lowered to, $4 or $5 to fill up seats to get people there, because the subway and local bus cannot handle the overflow crowds. And the only other capacity thing is the railroads. But this whole plan was not really looked at properly. I served on the Environmental Justice Committee for congestion pricing, and we were asking the MT, basic questions. There's no additional funding either for Nassau and County Express or Beeline Bus. What happens to those transit agencies? So we are not supporting congestion pricing at Passengers United because we don't trust the MT. They can't even implement it properly. And so we already know it's going to be not good for our seniors and not good with people with limited mobilities. And then the other thing is what happens in the boundary areas, like Brooklyn, right before you go on the bridge. A lot of people are going to be parking their cars there and getting on the train. That's going to mess the environmental justice for those communities, especially, the Upper East Side, the Bronx, Cross Bronx Expressway. So I really think the MTA needs to put this on hold. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, that concludes the public comment.
Thank you, Rose. Well, we don't have a quorum, so we'll have to wait till the May meeting, the next meeting, to confirm the approval of the minutes. But we can move forward. President Sheraton, are there any changes to the work plan?
Good morning, Chair Mack. There are no changes to the work plan.
Okay. Oh, here we.
So I'll just start off with my remarks. Good morning. B&T's 2023 year-end operating budget results are included in this month's board materials as an informational item starting on page 46. Also included as an information item is a proposal which reduces the administrative toll violation fee imposed at major facilities from $100 to $50 and establishes a $50 administrative toll violation fee for the congestion relief zone. Details are found in the staff summary on page 64 of the book. Last week, I was honored to join B&T employees and our union representatives to mark the national observance of Police Week and Peace Officers Memorial Day. We gathered at the Verrazano Narrows Bridge to remember fallen officers and honor current members of service. It was a moving tribute and a fitting expression of gratitude to the men and women of our law enforcement ranks. As our enforcement against toll evaders continues to garner positive news media coverage, with a note of thanks also to our MTA press office for their support, I'm pleased to report increased frequency of our multi-agency enforcement task force. In fact, there's an operation underway this morning at the Queens Midtown Tunnel. Once again, I congratulate our team for their work, and for this month's committee focus, our operations leadership will give a more detailed view into enforcement means and methods. I'd like to introduce Deputy Chief and Acting Assistant Vice President of Central Operations, Romel Lee, who will start.
Thank you, President Sheridan. Good morning, everyone. MTA Bridges and Tunnels Operations Department has significant experience with enforcement efforts to ensure the protection of revenue. Operations uses technology such as license plate readers, or LPRs, to perform the critical function of recovering toll revenue. These LPRs are installed on our tolling gantries, our patrol vehicles, and most recently, on portable trailers that are strategically deployed for enforcement efforts. The LPRs are used in three ways: during routine patrols, for targeted operations based on travel patterns, and for joint enforcement efforts. Another important tool is the ability to submit the license plates of persistent toll violators, or PTVs, to the New York State Department of Motor Vehicles for registration suspension. Since April 2016, the DMV registration suspension has become the most important tool in our toolbox. While the majority of our customers pay their tolls, we acknowledge that a percentage of motorists employ various tactics to try to evade toll payment, such as covering or obstructing their license plates or using counterfeit plates. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we noticed an increase in this behavior and responded with a crackdown on such practices. Now we conduct this enforcement on a daily basis in our own targeted operations alongside our regional partners. We are also exploring new technologies to further these efforts. To speak more on multi-agency initiatives, I'll turn it over to Paul Orgio, Assistant Chief and Acting Vice President of Revenue Recovery and Protection.
Thank you, Chief Lee, and good morning, all. What began as an MTA Bridges and Tunnels initiative has since expanded through collaboration with our regional law enforcement partners into what is now a multi-agency task force that shares a common mission to target vehicle and license plate-related criminality. The task force is led by NYPD, and it includes MTA Bridges and Tunnels, New York State Police, MTA Police, New York City Sheriff, Port Authority Police, New York State Department of Motor Vehicles, and we recently welcomed the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission Police and the United States Park Police. Enforcement initiatives are driven by criminal intelligence and data related to persistent toll violator travel patterns as provided by our Internal Security Department. In addition, our tolling group has identified a subset of vehicles that are classified as unbillable. These vehicles have been flagged for improper and counterfeit plates and covered, obstructed, or altered plates, also known as ghost cars. This intelligence is shared amongst our task force partners as part of our patrol strategy during targeted enforcement operations. Vehicle information is loaded into the LPR system, which alerts the interdicting officer to a persistent toll violator. Once a vehicle is pulled over, the field details are relayed to our Internal Security Department and our tolling group to determine potential billing information. The task force began conducting monthly enforcement operations, and best practices are being frequently shared. Operations have since expanded to twice weekly at multiple locations, and we will continue this momentum. As President Sheridan referenced earlier, media coverage of the Joint Task Force serves to raise public education and is in line with the MTA's Blue Ribbon Panel recommendations. All right, so this slide represents the collective efforts of all our enforcement partners. Since March 11th, we've conducted 13 operations, with the 14th underway as we speak. The first 12 operations have resulted in 171 arrests, identifying over $5.5 million owed, over 5,000 summonses have been issued, and 734 vehicles have been towed. The practice of obstructing license plates or using counterfeit plates is often not limited to toll evasion. Frequently, these offenders are engaged in serious crimes. For example, during a targeted enforcement operation at the RFK Bridge on May 1st, officers received an alert for a specific vehicle crossing the facility. Upon the vehicle stop and roadside investigation, it was determined that the motorist driver's license had been suspended 6 times. We confirmed that the driver was also using the plates to conceal the vehicle's identity because he had an active warrant for criminal contempt. During another stop, a motorist was charged with assaulting another one of our officers and was found to have a prior assault case pending. As you've heard our chair state before, once again, our court system released this defendant without bail. Thank you, and this concludes our presentation.
I got to commend President Sheridan and yours, both of you. It's about time. We still have a problem with the blackened windows. We're looking for a problem, God forbid, that could happen. You don't know who's in the car, what they're transporting. We had a unit, it went by the side. We should reinitiate that. And we don't need a task force. You have men and women that are on the sides, sitting. I go through the tunnels, the bridges very often. I'm all over the city, from state to state, Long Island. All I can say is your men and women have to do their job and look for these terrible incidents that hopefully will never happen, but they could. It's just waiting, especially with what's going on with the disorder in the city and everywhere. The other factor is that your men and women, aside from the task force, are not on a daily basis looking for those plates that are painted, covered, or darkened with a film. So I urge you to tell the men and women, for the good of New York, keep an eye out, okay? Because it's the old story. When your mom said, don't touch the stove, you get burnt. You touched it, you got burnt. You didn't do it again. These things just create a rate of lawlessness and higher disobedience. But I came through the tunnel today. They were doing their job, everyone. But it's time for our men and women to do their job. Yes.
Commissioner Glucksman?
748 cars that were towed, what happens to them?
Sorry. Those cars towed or a combination went to authorized tow in accordance with our process, and if anyone was associated to an arrest, those vehicles were vouched with an NYPD precinct.
Are there any other questions? I would like to report that we have increased enforcement efforts at our facilities outside of the task force, and we can certainly provide statistics on that in a future meeting.
I just saw the statistics. Keep up the good work, but we still got to be very, very vigilant regarding the darkened windows and what I just went into with the plates. Again, disregard for law enforcement only brings the next step of a higher crime. Thank you. That's only 60 years or 70 years of being in law enforcement.
Great. Thank you, Ramel and Paul. Finally, there are no procurements this month, and this concludes B&T's report if there are no additional questions. Commissioner Albert.
Yes, so I look at the safety results every month, and once again, the Verrazano Bridge has far and ahead more collisions than any other facility. Is that because more vehicles are using it, or because there's something inherently wrong with the way the traffic is maintained or routed or something? It's way higher than all the other crossings.
Pashko, maybe you can address that?
Yeah, thank you. And that's been a real issue for us, and we've been working with the regional partners to try to alleviate some of the problems as they come from the bridge into the Belt Parkway. That's been an ongoing issue, and we're working on it with our regional partners.
So it's not my imagination.
No, it's not.
Thank you.
Hi. Before we adjourn, good morning. How are you, Martha? Everything good? Okay. Thank you. Well, we have a quorum, and we might as well vote on the minutes. Do we have a motion? Second? Great. Any questions about the minutes? All in favor? Aye? Okay, thank you. And again, thank you, President Sharon. That's it. Adjourn.